Hey everyone, welcome back to Trunk Talk. My name is Charlotte, and this is the podcast where we talk about everything in the automotive industry. And today we are diving into the topic of used vehicles, and we're actually going through questions that have been asked by you guys in the past. And I'm joined by what apparently is an industry expert, or at least the closest that we could find, our used car manager.
Hi, I'm Garth, and yes, I'm the used car manager here at Brantford Kia. And I'm probably a slightly more of an expert than you, but not necessarily. I wouldn't have every answer.
So how long have you been at Brantford Kia for?
I think you were 10 years old.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
Yeah,
I'm
for
like
reference,
her uncle.
I'm 25 now.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The weird uncle that you try not to invite to family events, but you still kind of have to send him a Christmas card.
I've missed every single Christmas. I have.
Yeah, keep the streak up. Keep going. Okay, how long have you been our used car manager for?
Oh, goodness. I don't actually know.
It's just been that long.
Yeah, so it was kind of a gradual progression with more responsibility and more tasks being assigned to me. So it began with initially just vehicle appraisals and market adjustments, and every task and position evolved. I'd say maybe 7 years full on used car manager. It predated COVID. That's everybody knows. Everybody knows that demarcation line. It's COVID is now it's like, when was the Second World War? When was COVID? And there's a bunch in between.
So basically what we're going to be doing today is I have a list of questions going through some key factors, some key market factors in the used car pricing, how pricing is determined, and basically how a bunch of external factors can affect the pricing of used vehicles. And then we'll also end it off with some tips for you guys who may be looking to buy a car this year and are considering something new or used. Maybe this can help give you clarity on some of the benefits of used vehicles. So to start off, we're going to talk about general market trends. So what are some key factors that influence used car pricing today?
Generally, no. Supply and demand is going to be a massive one.
Yeah.
So if you were to look at one, you have the desirability and the rarity of the option you're presenting. Say, me, if I'm looking to buy it. If you're coming in with an F-150 XLT, that might be the most popular car in North America, which means there is a surplus of them everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be something that has advantageous trade benefits aside from it's a pretty standard even keel on its scenarios. On the other hand, something maybe more desirable or unique would be, what's something that's particularly hard to come by right now? I'm trying to think. Well, anything under 20,000, anything I can retail to its next computer, fully certified and everything else, that I can retail for less than $20,000. I was
going to say, like the 10, 15 mark, I feel like is something we miss out on so often.
It's a golden child. They're the unicorns. They're everything I want. They are. It's there are unicorn used vehicles as well. But if you've got a Tesla right now, with everything that's been happening, their value has plummeted because there's been such a mass exodus of favorability with the brand for particular reasons. But there are so many of them out there right now. You are genuinely getting thousands of dollars less than you would have 2 months ago.
Which is crazy. Well, but that's the thing about the used car market is it's always changing depending on what's going on. And even if you compare what the used car market was like during COVID to where we are now, you're starting to just see a form of stabilization. And then it seems like that's also probably about to change.
It's possible, yes. So one way that we kind of look at what I do or whatever is we're kind of day traders. The volatility of the market can change so quickly with the examples of, say, what's happened to Tesla recently and their market value. And we constantly monitor and use tools to do that. In COVID, we peaked the most valuable used car market that I've ever seen and I think has ever existed. You could have a 2-year-old vehicle with 50,000 kilometers on it that still was trading at almost MSRP brand new pricing. We've obviously course corrected for that. The market has adjusted and we're back down to, we're still not where we were before. It used to be a 3-year trend, 50% original resale value was trade value. It's not that place anymore. I'd say we're still sitting 65 in scenarios, maybe even 70 on the right product. So you can genuinely drive a vehicle for a year or two and depreciation is on par with market values, where it used to be traded in less than 3 years and lose a couple $1,000s minimum.
Yeah, like right off the bat. So this kind of plays hand in hand with it, but the correlation between new vehicle prices and used vehicle prices, how much do their fluctuation of either or affect the other? Mostly, I guess, of new car prices with used car.
Yeah. Well, with used car prices, they're going to jump when there's new car scarcity, which is something we might see right now. Obviously, the tariffs and everything else. There's no crystal ball to know the future, but we're anticipating a potential new car price increase. Is it what? Maybe 10, 15%? Is that what they're thinking? Or several?
Are you talking Kia and Hyundai specific?
No, I'm talking market, like
market?
domestic and anything that's doing the border crossing.
I was going to say, because Kia and Hyundai, I don't think we're going to see that big of an increase.
We're really nicely insulated, actually, because of where the majority of our cars come from.
Which we've talked about on the episode we posted 2 weeks ago talking about tariffs. So if you haven't checked that out, check it out.
So what we've got is genuinely... we won't see a lot of the effects of this probably for about 3 months, because your average new car inventory has about a 3 months supply of inventory. And so the cars that people are going to buy first are the cars that haven't suffered the price increase based on tariffs and imports. And so we won't see the full trend, but the minute the new car prices maybe do jump and possibly permanently for at least a period of time, you're probably going to see a used car value slightly trend up too, just because in some situations they can.
So for people who may be looking to trade in their vehicles this year in the coming future, what are some factors that determine the price that you offer them?
Okay, so we use a lot of tools, generally tied in, and I mean, we know the internet tracks movements and monitors all trends and everything else, and so we use a tool that does the exact same thing, and it's going to monitor every used car being sold nationally. Right down to the very specifics of whether or not it's a base, mid, or top level trim. And it's monitoring what were they selling for last week, what are similar composites selling for here. Out west is a different market than Ontario, so you'll usually find your four-door sedans slightly value up over here, whereas trucks are going to possibly be the other way. And we look at the entire market. If I don't have enough data, say within 200 kilometers of where we are right now, to get enough parameters of seeing, okay, on average with this mileage and this specs, features, condition, they're selling for 10,000. Then I expand it a little bit to think. But if I see that 70% of all the cars in the territory here are roughly 10,000, well, that's going to tell us where we are. Yep. And the trends, we look at it regularly and adjust it frequently, because things can change week to week.
So it's nothing that's necessarily static. It's always changing. Yes. Even on the lot, even on advertisements and stuff like that, it's always consistently being updated too.
Yeah, not on every car, but I will at least probably on 2 or 3 times every week sit down and monitor every vehicle in the inventory and do adjustments. And we're talking it just like the system might just say, you know what, this car has adjusted. It's worth $200 more now than it was on Saturday. Okay. And those things do happen. That's a part of my job. It's why we make the joke about day trading and monitoring the stock trends.
Okay, what are misconceptions about used vehicle pricing? Because I feel like mine is a lot of people forget that essentially it's reselling. So you need to buy it at a lower price and then you retail it for a higher price after it goes through reconditioning. And I feel like a lot of people forget or think it's bad that dealerships make a profit. And so long as they are doing it like morally and ethically, it's fine. Right. But the second that you start to take advantage of someone who may not know what their vehicle is worth, that's when I have a problem with it.
Yes, and that
I feel like is my biggest thing.
No, and that's before I was in cars, I wasn't in cars, and I bought and traded my vehicles, and so we've all been in that situation as not a part of the industry at one point, and that's yes, very true. Shrink that down for me so I can hit the points of. I was going to say,
are there misconceptions about used vehicle prices?
Okay, yes. So one is you have to understand, sometimes people will go online and they'll see it's selling for $15,000. But that's one of them. And just because it's listed at 15 doesn't mean it's selling for 15. And there's sometimes, I will in fact sometimes put a car online that maybe I'm waiting on parts for. Yeah. And it's not ready for you to drive. And so if I actually think that car is worth $13,000, I might just arbitrarily throw it up at 15 because I know no one's going to come and see it, but it advertises itself and gains online traction. And then once we've finished all the work and it's going to drive the way we want it to drive for you after we've finished everything, I put it at the price I'm really thinking, because if you've looked at it, you'll be notified that, oh, the price is now suddenly 13, because that's the price I actually expected it to be. So I'll advertise them unattractive just for awareness, but I don't want you touching any of my vehicles until they're ready to be shown in their best form. And so one of the scenarios would be, I mean, that had a $2,000 price variance, and that's arbitrary, but it's probably because a lot of people think we can discount every car $2,000, and that's not necessarily the case. Let's take example. We operate on margins at Brantford Kia. I need to make a certain amount of money because we're paying our sales guys salaries to guarantee them an income and try and mitigate or not be at all like pressure cooker sales place.
I also just want to point out the key word there is that our sales team is actually on salary, so they're not on commission.
Right.
So it's not necessarily about the price of the vehicle that they're selling you.
Right. And the mandate we have for our used inventory is one for the stores, friends and family like care. Hopefully the experience with us is fun. And so, well, it's not only fun, but you feel we are being honest, and we hope you can sense that. And as far as what we do with our used inventory, especially when we're certifying the car, my mandate to the shop for the cars I'm willing to retail, I'm not going to sell it to you unless I'm willing to sell it to my own mother. I put the work in, and that means, so on some cars, you know, I buy it for this, and I don't get a discount when I'm fixing a car. I pay a full retail price, full retail rate to the shop. There's no discount on parts. There's no discount on labor. And the reason for that is, if you paid more, I would always get pushed to the back burner. And so this maintains that my car can come in, and if I'm queued and I have a 1 o'clock appointment for a safety, I get to keep my safety because I'm just as valuable to the shop as you are as a customer. And we don't cut corners because I want our relationship going forward to be good. I want to earn your trust in perpetuity and be your next car and be your friend's car and your neighbor's car. And so it's not, we're going to try and trick you into something. No, I'm going to sell something, and I've tried to predict everything we could see coming. You can't do it on a used car or even a new car, obviously. But I want our relationship to be rock solid. And so even if you're 6 months into a vehicle and we get surprised by used car personality, come and talk to us about it. That's not nope, you bought the car, we're no longer friends. Absolutely not. No. Contact your sales rep, come and see me personally or anybody else on staff here, and let's talk it out and see. There are sometimes things that, we can work together on to make sure we still remain friends.
So how do you keep it balanced in, you know, if someone is coming in and trying to get a trade offer, how do you get it balanced with purchasing the trade-in versus maintaining a profit on that vehicle when you retail it? A part of it is just going to be software, obviously condition of the vehicle.
Software is going to be a lot.
Our own reconditioning.
And there are predictable. So one old math metric was every 10,000 kilometers on the odometer is $100 in safety. So if you've got a 100,000 kilometer car, now that goes back 10 years, so we could probably inflate that and let's say more than $10. Maybe we're at $14 per safety or whatever, 14 or $140 or something now. It's just, there are things like I know what the average cost of brakes are, and I can try and see what the brakes look like. Obviously, tires are easy. They keep getting more expensive. I just agreed to $1,500 in rubber for a used car yesterday to go on our lot. It's a lot of money. But again, hopefully, whichever one of you might buy that car, you appreciate it. You're welcome. Well, there are cheaper options. I could have put $700 tires on it, but those tires aren't good. We predict and we know and we try to account for it, and we're honest. So our appraisal tool has a cost breakdown, and it explains our numbers. Not everybody has this set up, but we can show you an appraisal tool and say, okay, the reason it looks like you should trade this for $20,000, but I'm only offering you 18 is because right here, there's the $2,000 that by walking around it, I saw I'm going to have to spend. And that's outside of what the mechanic might find when he puts it in the air. So it's a bit of a dice roll, but we do it with as much transparency and honesty as we can.
And when in doubt, ask too.
Yes,
if you're dealing at another store or anything like that too, and they give you a number and you're like, you know what, I've been seeing it online for XYZ. ask them to explain it to you where they're coming from with that number, and hope they should be able to give you a breakdown as to what they can be expecting, even if it's not in the software format with our appraisal tool, but even just verbally.
Well, it's justifiable expenses. So if you're going to buy a used car off me, you wouldn't want, say, the driver's door to have a nice big scratch on it. And some of those can be touched up, some of those can be buffed, but some of those need to be body shopped. And if we go back, even in the last 5 years, prior to COVID, I was probably spending $250 to $300 to paint a panel. So that's the front door, the back door, the side door, the hood. Well, the hoods are a little more, but on average, they're $600 now. And I'm not a body shop. I don't have a body shop. So my expenses are the exact same. And I don't get discounts with my body shop either for the exact same reason. If you are going to be charged $600 or your insurance company is going to be charged $600, I'm going to get charged $600 because I'm eating up shop time. And so all of those things are measurable metrics, and we try and consider everything, and hopefully we can find a happy in between.
Okay, let's do rapid fire tips for customers.
Okay.
Are there any red flags in buying a used car?
Too good to be true is probably too good to be true. Yeah. And like if everything out there is 15,000 and this one's magically 11, there's probably a reason for it, and maybe it's not in the paperwork.
Yeah, maybe it's not. You can't see it, but you could feel it.
And you might even smell it in 2 months.
Yeah, true.
A car that's been heavily smoked in, we can do a whole lot of things, but you never know how well you did until it is sat in a hot summer day with the windows closed. And it's hard. I'm not going to tell anybody. I mean, don't smoke, right? Whatever. But just do, for the sake of your own investment, don't smoke in your car. That does change the value down the line, because it costs a lot of money to clean it out.
Because it can take several rounds of cycling too sometimes.
Yes.
Okay, how should buyers educate themselves to make sure they're getting a fair value on their car? And is there any online tools that you'd recommend, like Kelley Blue Book, anything along those lines?
I don't personally use Kelley Blue Book or Black Book anymore.
Yeah.
Now, they may have changed their algorithm or their metric, however they were compiling the data, but my understanding is a lot of their information was relayed through insurance companies and a little behind the times. Honestly, go to our website and look at what's my trade worth. That is actually going to tap into the exact software I'm using, and generally in that situation, it's going to give you a range, and it'll look at the low of the market within with your vehicle to the high, and it might say, okay, your car could be worth anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000. It's not usually a $5,000 spread. It might be $3,000. It depends on the value. And that's going to give you the ballpark. What it comes down to is all the little things it can't know, because it's looking at the scope and not the minutia and the details. So it doesn't know if I have a $600 panel. Are your tires just out of verifiable or passable safety and therefore need to be replaced? Little things. And that's why we can do that. I would normally, a lot of stores, if you call them, they'll tell you the high number there. I don't like doing that, and I try to explain it if we were to speak, say, I'm going to go on the low side. This is a number I can guarantee. However, if you can come by and we'll look at it together, maybe I can add value and get us and find us how we get higher and closer to the top end rather than taking away. I prefer to add. If you're going into a store and you've done the brakes in the last year, or the tires are new, or you've done anything, I don't need all your service records, but brakes on any car right now are probably an $800 expense. So without knowing what they really look like, I'm going to be conservative, or I'm going to probably let's just assume it might cost me a maintenance for $400. But if you can show me you did the brakes in July last year, well, now I'm a little less apprehensive, and that maybe you get all $800 back.
There you go.
There are ways you can do it. It doesn't really matter if it's, we like it clean. Some people come in, I'm sorry, it's really, really dirty. I'm used to seeing dirty cars.
That a lot of the time we can see past.
Correct. That's not usually all that big of a concern. People are sometimes a little more embarrassed. My wife makes our car much more dirty than I do.
Yeah.
It's different in the house. I'm the other way around.
Okay. So that kind of goes with how you can negotiate to sometimes even get more with your trade.
Okay.
So if you're able to kind of prove the work that's done and the basically the mechanics buying the vehicle, what can you do to negotiate when you're purchasing a new vehicle or a used vehicle? Any tips?
You could ask. So we've got. They'll say they've got if a store doesn't have a jacket on the car, and that's just the terminology, it's the file we have with all the information we've gotten. Sometimes it's missing data, but that can be attained. So get the Carfax.
Definitely.
Never buy a vehicle without seeing a Carfax. Carfax isn't foolproof, but at least if you're going to a shop that reports service history, you might see all their service history. So every car that comes through our dealership, we report the work we've done to Carfax as a source. So it's in the historical trend. So you don't even have to keep the data. You don't even have to keep the paperwork for the brake job you did because it's on the Carfax. So never buy a car without getting history reports. You could also ask the shop if they're saying, no, yeah, it passes safety. There are variables to which cars pass safety.
Yeah.
Tires are rated at 3 mil. Brakes are probably going to be what we would call a 4 mil metric. And maybe your brakes are all at 4.5, which means you've got less than half the life of the brakes left. You've only got a 30% of the tire tread left. And those are things that are different. If I'm putting a car out with, say, 60% tires and I have the exact same car with brand new tires, well, then the brand new tire one is probably going to be a little bit more, exactly the price of the tires, whatever the cost difference would be. And so you could ask for the inspection, the mechanic's inspection report, which they should have. And all those, especially starting this year in Ontario, are done on a tablet with photographic evidence and submitted to the provincial authority, I guess Ministry of Transportation. Is that probably who it is? And so you can have that. It's a printout. And so we've got them. You can ask for them. And it'll say, yeah, the front brakes are at this, the rotors, with all measurements is taken by a mechanic who is documenting it with photographic evidence on the tablet now, which is pretty great, actually.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there anything else that you think people would want to know about the used car market? What's your favorite part about working with used cars?
It's the change and the experience. So I'm in this job one because I really like cars. I think Kia makes a great product, but I will regularly, people all say, people in the industry get free cars. I don't. I actually drive a different used car every day. One, to test the competition. Two, to make sure the cars are
driving well
for you. And so it's what's really fun about it is, I have a 9-year-old son, and he loves it when there's something different coming home. A big truck, convertible. I took a Mini Cooper home, I think a month or two ago, and that was one of his favorite things in a long time. And he just thought it was fun and charming. And so, yeah, I like the constant change, the interaction. And then used cars in particular, you meet people. And so you'll meet people of like mind. Every car has a history. People have a story. And it's like, well, we don't need a van anymore because our kids have aged and they're off to university. And you encounter people who have been through the stage of life I'm in or are entering the stage of life I was at.
Yep.
I don't have a newborn anymore, and I have a 9-year-old.
Yeah, there you go.
Lots of pearls of wisdom for this one that she just throws to the side.
Yeah. I choose to block out all of your parenting advice. I'll take your advice on used cars, but no, he's a good kid.
Yes, my wife's probably a big part of that, but
Oh man. Well, on that note, thank you guys so much for joining us. And if you still have questions about the used car market or want to learn more, feel free to leave a comment down below. They are monitored and we can get back to you with an answer. And if you haven't already, make sure that you like this video, subscribe. And if you're watching this on YouTube, go and stream it also on your streaming services for podcasts. If you're listening to this on a podcasting platform, go and check out our YouTube channel too, and everything will be linked down below. But thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. And if you don't know, she's not going to plug it, but we were the guest feature of the April 1st video.
Yes, this is your second video you've done with us this week. So
things must be going well.
So go and check that out. Obviously, the people wanted you back, so there's nothing more to say about that. But thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Cheers.